I'm Buckner, and in this video, I'm going to discuss economic growth and worker productivity. So first, economic growth. Economic growth conceptually is an increase in a country's capacity to produce goods and services. For modern economies, the main way economies can develop economic growth or an increase in capacity is to make their workers more productive. So productivity is a common measurement for worker output. Simply stated, productivity is the amount of output a worker can create in a defined unit of time. Think about it as output per hour, something like that. So if a country wants to have economic growth, they typically need to increase the productivity of their workers. There are three main ways that a country can increase worker productivity. Number one is to provide them more natural resources. This is particularly relevant in the production of things like agriculture, petrochemical products, those sorts of things. Number two is an increase in the amount of capital provided to workers. This is giving them more equipment, better equipment, tools, those sorts of things. And then the third thing is an increase in human capital. Human capital is a measurement of how much training or education a worker has. For each of these three types of resources, as workers are provided more of them, they'll be able to produce more things or have increased productivity, but that increase is going to come at a decreasing rate. So if you look in a lot of economics textbooks, you're going to see something called a per worker production function. And what that's going to have is a line that's going to be upward sloped, but sloping downward at a decreasing rate. So it's going to be a logarithmic graph, means it's going to increase but at a decreasing rate. So as workers are given more and more and more resources, more capital, more natural resources, more education or human capital, they're going to increase their productivity, but less with each additional resource. Now, the last thing that can really affect worker productivity is changes or improvements in technology. So what I focus on with our first three things, education, natural resources, capital, is just more things that already exist. So increases or improvements in technology is giving workers access to better resources, not necessarily more of them, but better resources. And as workers are provided with better resources, you would see this per worker production function shift upwards. So instead of trying to rely on making your workers more productive by giving them more stuff, you could also try and find a way, if you're a wealthy or well-capitalized society like the United States, it's better to find ways to give your workers better resources, not necessarily more resources, if you want to go about increasing their productivity.